um
Oh, that was weird. I was having some major technical difficulties, and Mercury is now in retrograde. So looks like nobody's tuning in, so that's cool. I get to mess with this a little bit. But I'm gonna dive into some epiphanies here. See if we can make the screen better. Full moon April 22. So I had this epiphany about centering C. What am I talking about? Centering 7. Doing a lot of improvising right now. We're gonna make this happen. I was thinking how like, okay, Mercury is in retrograde. The moon is waxing or waning. Still, we're in this world of contrast. So we could think of like, oh, don't go outside and don't do anything and be fearful. But it's really about tuning into adjusting sails, if that makes sense. So as I get into that, it has to do with navigating and writing out these currencies. So talk about centering 7 through this symbol I saw. I'm going to get a better production. I am working on better production. This is an impulsive. So we talk about impulse. I talk about the center dealing with the M and the N and how that looks like a pulse and how push and pull together is the word pulse. So I want to talk about electromagnetism. What made me think is rainbow. It has. So I'm getting into etymology. So rainbow, each letter corresponds with a color, and there's 7 colors that you can see, except for the UV. So with these symbols, we can look at them at different perspectives, but we know that 7 has to do with what you see. It's the 7 colors. And in the word color, so now we're dealing with vibrations and frequencies. So we're dealing with symbols, what you see, dealing with what you hear, because we're dealing with senses. And when you look at color, you also see look. We're dealing with sounds. So just like one word can have multiple definitions, there's this syncing. There's so many things that don't synchronize, and the things that do click, like puzzles. So we can see look spelled with a C and R having to do with vibration. We look at color. But another way of looking at this too is if we move this around, you see the word raid, flip the B over to a D, and then we say now. So now is a moment that has movement and contrast of colors and frequencies. When we get into that bow, we also get into the arrow, which is getting into the arrows, which has to do with the pulse, because that has to do with the heart. And then when we see arrows, we also see 0. So I'm tying this in because this has to do with focus. 7. This is just kind of opening this up here. So there's 7 letters, 7 colors in rainbow. Yeah, look at the screen. So okay. This center starts with a C, just like 3, 3, 6, 9. We're dealing with these frequencies and patterns. Let's make this more visible. So we've seen this symbol before with the G. I might get a little repetitive on some of my videos, but if I get repetitive, I'm going to bring in something new on every video I do here, because a lot of these are epiphanies. Oh. That I'm tying in. So with the G, you also see it also looks like a C, and then a 7. You're centering the 7. We know that G is the 7th letter. We'll deal with the sound of G. So Jesus. So they could be looked at as a C, centering the 7, encircling the 7. Now what's interesting is if you look like the pulse is also like plus. When we look at the plus sign, pulled apart, different ways of looking at it. If something pushes away, it's repulsive. Now this also looks like a 6 and a 7. Now an interesting thing about 6, and only is at the center of 3, 6, 9. But 6 equals 7. And you do 19, which is 1, and 9, and 24, which is 6. Do a circle on the line here at the center, and when you look at the plus sign separated, not only do we get the 7 and the L, kind of different ways of looking at that, but we also have a box in a circle, or a cube in a circle. Now, when we talk about an egg, we talk about birth. It starts with the heart. We enter our first home in the embryo, and just like a home, you know, love makes a house a home. So when we build a home, we start with the basement. So so many ways of looking at this. What we do, we first build a house, you start with the basement. Foundation, right, where everything emanates, like the alphabet is the M and the N, just like him, or column, like a column. Sound is of the M. So nothing moves without rhythm. Rhythm has no, just like M and M, there's no vowels. So nothing moves without rhythm. And we look at the word base. It's also pass. You can say pass go in Monopoly. 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 So another way of looking at this is base. I'm also going to get into the past as well. Base. So not only is bass a fish, and this also looks like home base. Home base in baseball is the same shape as this. So in cards we see bicycle, which is like two sickles, bicycle. And we're dealing with reflection. So they say basics. Basics. We're going back to the start, like the basement. We'll go start at basics. Now this could look like a fold, like a fold or a crease, and we see these three triangles. So when we talk about a priest or a preacher, we're talking about pressed or pressure. The first preacher was Moses, and when things get passed on with light and weight through particles or spread on, it's through osmosis. So we're dealing with this O and the M, like aum, it's supposed to contain all the vowels. I guess it's contained in the M. And who, again, owl. All right, so we see this. You you also sleep in your home, so we can see that like that's a hidden cross, or we could say that as a rib from Adam. So Adam, we're dealing with the M, adding the M, and Eve, the N is hidden, 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 hid, den. It's like the den that's hid, den. What I'm getting into is the alphabet. I'm getting into how the alphabet sounds like apple bit. And if we look at etymology, et is also not only can it look like eight, it looks like eat, eat. Mol is MOL, which is how light is measured. A G, I believe, is a study of. Um, and when we talk about time, time, you could also write that like TY, E, tying the M. Either way, it's a sound. Tying the M is dealing with time. So we're dealing with movement, motion. Motion is M in ocean, so we're dealing with M ocean because M is also written as EM. The sound is also EM, which is a 33. M is also a 3, and it's also a 13, which I believe are the 3 degrees of Freemasonry. I'll look that one up. I know there's a 32 degree, something else too, but I believe I gotta look that one up. But when we deal with dimensions, dealing with dimming, hang on, I don't want to get into dimensions yet. Here I want to keep on point here. We also see loud, because when we see these squiggly lines, we're looking at these from different angles. We can also see the W. Just scrambling that to see loud as a noise. Or we could see dowel, like the tool that looks like the play button, which is the triangle, which is for building. So anyway, we look at this like a symbol, as in the L being a lowercase L, that can also look like an I. If we fold this over, like we're doing a reflection, because life started with let there be light with speech. So we're dealing with the alphabet here. So with that L, not only dealing with the outlet, with let there be light, we're also going like go, tell it on the mountain, because tell and let is the same. There's no A going in this direction, which is interesting. But when we look at this folded over, that's the same. However, this is this direction. So when we look at going this direction, we see the word omni. So basically writing the M and the N in cursive, LMNO. And then not only would allow with that P flipped, The V is at the center here. Okay, this is what I got to get into because with the seven center and the seven, and it's like running on empty, but I'm going feeling this full moon here. So when I see seven, so we're shit. We're dealing with seen and seer. This is padded. I'm like sleepwalking here. Okay. But this is like the one corner where I have the internet where I can keep my phone right now. So, um, I know it's a full moon, so I want to keep my full moon and new moon streams going. And then I'm working on tying this stuff in for like a proper presentation when my mic's set up. With the N and the T, we can see that like negative and positive, but we also see that like north. We see that as north. We also see the V as a greater than or less than sign, or we can also see it as a 7. But it divides, dividing. And we see, so what I'm going to get into is that how every rose has a thorn. And that also has to do how 0 equals 1. I need a 2-second break here. And if anybody checks this, I appreciate it. So we look at, I made a really good purchase. It's a glycerin freezable pipe that's like, it spins, so it's like something like that long, and it goes through this freezing glycerin. So anyway, this is not how I am usually in my artistic mode. Normally I'm running my auto detail business, and I've been very busy. But this is what I love to do, and I hope to put down some more streams. So, and by doing this like every full moon or whatever, it keeps me going. I like progress. So, um, the first streams I put on YouTube were like showing somebody getting his arm broken and it had like 60,000 views or whatever. But I don't want to send that energy out. I'm not. I'd rather just do my etymology and syncretism and vibe with people that are into the third eye symbolism and energy optimization and learning how to decode this matrix. And when we look at matrix, another thing that hit me is where you buy games. I used to get games at a place called Kmart. So we see 9 matrix, like Rubik's, just like rubbing 9, just dealing with that vibration. Um, There's also one that's all the symbols written on caves. You typically see it the other way. That one going, what it's called. I think the one in the cave is like that, but sideways, which is 6 point 6, another form of the 6 pointed star. Where we have these 6 triangles. So Kmart is a game store. They're still around. Um, Another interesting thing that spoke to me is because it's supposed to be a living language that people don't recognize. We're programmed stone. So again, dealing with reflections because we're dealing with light. Let there be light. Tell it on the mountain. So we're dealing with visual and sound. So visual and sound, just like seer and seen, dealing with that centering 7. So you see that seer and seen with the V in the middle in the north. So we incubate in an embryo. So see, I think I got some notes to spark my brain here. Oh yeah. With the 6 triangle. So we can see it 2 different ways. We can see the reflection of the light and the reflection of the dark. So we can see the 6 triangles right here. With the 3 and the 3. So also one thing I see through etymology, it was at the center of the timeline. Jesus split the timeline between BC and AD. Which is 5 and 5. So Jesus was originally IHS, and he rose from the cross. The cross is at the center. So if you literally look at that backwards, it says shit. So we're dealing with the Last Supper as well, because Jesus was the 13th sign. Everybody was around him. So M is the 13th letter. So is N if you're going from that direction for centering. So, it's really deep. It's not only getting into waves, water, elements. To make sense of this, how things connect is like through irony, which has iron. We're dealing with magnetism. So connects is with magnetism. And through like magnetism, we can also see how magnet is game 10. So if we look at Alameno, you can also see that 10. Now, if you write that like a capital, we just put it at an angle. We're dealing with shadow too, with shadow and light. If we do it like an angle with that crease, capital L, that's like the fish head. So we got the fish fin, we got the fin. And so Jonah was in a whale or a fish technically for 3 days and 3 nights. So if we're dealing with light and dark with the 3 triangles, we can see the 3 dark, 3 light. Um, Jesus giving the feeding people fish. So this also gets me into the Sphinx was spinning the six, and by that, if you look at like 6 and 9, you see something together. Because we're dealing magnet, we're dealing push and pull. That five, which is phi, which is fate. 9 6 is if. The question, like, not there. If so this is like separated. I'm saying that correctly. Um, Damn, there's so many ways of looking at this. Because the M and the N are together, we could also look at that as the 4 5 together, which is the 9. Because the 9 breaks the 8. So when 9 also means no in German, and no backwards is on. So we're dealing with like this switch. And it's interesting that a witch, witch is like we're dealing with choice, which direction, and like I said earlier, with the two birds in the center with the two threes, which is also a 6, we deal with two roads because it's by and RDS is roads. So okay, with the 6 and 9, I'm tying in some other notes I wrote I don't have on me. What we're dealing with constant current. The splitting the sea. So it's like Willy, also dealing like Willy Wonka. So dealing with rhythm. Willy Wonka, Chocolate Factory. Hang on. Man, Chocolate Factory is 3 and 6. Anyway, Sphinx. So we have spin. We got the word spin in Sphinx. We also have the word 6. Sphinx is 6 letters, right? So at 3 6 9, 6 is the center, and 6 equals 7. So 7 is a completed step. I don't know if perpetuate's the right word, but budding, the way things bud or manifest, is through 3 6 9. So 7 is a step. This can also be like pest. See how when they pull apart, different ways of looking at that. I don't want to be too scattered because on full moons especially, I would like to bring clarity, and because I see so many connections, but when they say the word ironic, say iron, like a lion from Zion. L. See that as lion. Because we're going back and forth. Damn. We also see north. Just like North Pole. So they say, now I lay me down to sleep. So the yen gets turned sideways. Now I lay me down to sleep. Because the N is at the center. We're dealing with ends. Ends justify the means. Yeah, I'm not gonna anybody checking my channel yet. Fuck. Alright. So, like I said, the Wicked Witch of the West were all green. Like aliens are green. And everything's taken away from now is alien. Which we're dealing with alien, leaning. We're talking about alien. And so witches are always shown with green skin on a broomstick. And so in the Wonderful Wizard of Oz, dealing with the flying monkeys, which monkey has now a key in it. So here's another interesting thing. That L could also be a 1, which is also an A. M and N together takes on the M, takes on the sound of the N. The N is hidden, right? So an M sideways is an E. I have to figure in the P. I have to figure in the O. I see ape right there. Could be a re MON. And we see the key. So it has to do with the key now. Because it tells us that we come from apes, we come from monkeys. And another thing that syncretizes is they tell us that the oldest blood type is O negative, which is that L sideways is the negative. Go check my stream yet? Damn, dude. That was better. Alright. So I have not been promoting my channel at all. hoping people will tune in, but I guess I have to promote it. Um, if you're one of my followers, I appreciate you, because a lot of these are throwing together a lot of epiphanies that I come up with in presentation. So thanks for sticking with me. I don't know if we can upload this one or not. Maybe somebody will check this. Let's see. So color and core. So cores. Let's say Coors Light. Taste the Rockies. We all have all these mountain themes with beer. Oh damn. So I'm dealing with Morpheus and Form together. Because what happens, I start digging into them, and I start getting sidetracked on other stuff. Um, so I will catch you on the next if you're checking this.